Fairy tales. Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl who was liked by everyone who met her, but especially by her grandmother, who would have given her anything. Once she gave her a little hood of red satin that suited her so well she refused to wear anything instead of it, and so she was called Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said to her, "Now, Red Riding Hood, here's a piece of cake and a bottle of wine to take to your grandmother's. She is very ill and weak, and it will do her good. Set off before it gets too hot, and when you get out into the country, mind you go carefully, and don't stray away from the path, or you might fall and break the bottle, and then your granny wouldn't get any. And when you get to her house, remember to say, 'Good morning' first, and don't begin by peering into all the corners." "I'll be good, all right," said Red Riding Hood, and gave her mother her hand on it. Now, her grandmother lived out in the forest, half an hour's walk from the village. As soon as Red Riding Hood got into the forest, she met the wolf. But Red Riding Hood did not know what a wicked beast he was, and she was not afraid of him. "Good morning, Red Riding Hood," he said. "Good morning, wolf." "Whither away so early, Red Riding Hood?" "To see Granny." "What have you got under your apron?" "Cakes and wine. Yesterday was baking day. Granny is weak and ill, and this will do her good and make her strong." "Red Riding Hood, where does your granny live?" "About another quarter of an hour's walk further into the wood, under 3 big oak trees. Her house is just above the nut bushes. You must know it," said Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought to himself, "How young and tender she is. She will make a tasty morsel, even nicer than the old woman. You must set about this cunningly if you want to eat up both of them." So he walked along with Red Riding Hood a little way, and then he said, "Red Riding Hood, look at the pretty flowers all round us. Why don't you have a look around? Can't you hear how sweetly the birds are singing? You walk straight ahead as if you were going to school, and yet it's such fun out here in the forest." Red Riding Hood looked up, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing to and fro among the trees and the beautiful flowers all around her, she thought, "If I fetch Granny a bunch of flowers, it will make her happy. It's so early now, I still have plenty of time." She ran off the path into the forest, looking for flowers. No sooner had she picked one than it seemed to her that there was a finer one a little deeper into the forest. But the wolf went straight on to her grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" "Red Riding Hood with cake and wine." "Open the door." "Just pull the latch," said Grandmother. "I am too weak to get up." The wolf pulled the latch, the door opened, and without saying a word, he went straight up to Grandmother's bedside and ate her up. Then he put on her clothes, pulled her nightcap over his head, got into bed, pulling the bed curtains round him. Now, Red Riding Hood had been running about looking for flowers, and when she'd gathered so many that she could not carry any more, she began to think of her grandmother again and set off for the house. She was surprised to find the door left open. Everything seemed so strange, and she thought, "Oh dear, how frightened I am today, and yet I usually do so enjoy visiting Granny." She called, "Good morning," but there was no answer. So she went to the bed and pulled the curtains back. There lay her grandmother, with her nightcap pulled over her ears, and looking very strange. "Oh, Granny, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with." "Oh, Granny, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with." "Oh, Granny, what big hands you have!" "All the better to grab you with." "But, Granny, what a horrible great mouth you have!" "All the better to eat you with." No sooner had the wolf said this than he made one pounce out of bed and ate poor Red Riding Hood up. When the wolf had satisfied his appetite, he got back into bed, fell asleep, and began to snore much too loud. The gamekeeper was just walking past the house and thought, "Oh, the old lady snores. I must go and see if she's all right." So he went into the bedroom, and when he got in front of the bed, he saw the wolf lying there. "So there you are, you old sinner," he thought. "I've been looking for you a long time." He was going to aim his gun at him when he thought the wolf might have eaten the old lady up, and if he shot him, he would not be able to save her. So he did not shoot, but found a pair of scissors and cut the wolf open as he slept. When he had made a snip or two, he saw the glint of the Red Riding Hood, and out jumped the little girl after a few more snips, crying, "Oh, how frightened I was! It was so dark inside the wolf." They then got the old lady out alive, too, but she could hardly breathe. Now, Red Riding Hood hurried out and fetched some big stones, and they filled up the wolf's inside with them. And when he woke up, he tried to run away, but the stones were too heavy for him, and he soon tottered and fell down, dead. Then they were all happy. The gamekeeper skinned the wolf and took the skin home with him, and grandmother ate the cakes and drank the wine and felt better. But Red Riding Hood thought, "For the rest of your life, you will never wander off into the forest again when your mother has told you to keep to the path."